What's going on? This is Thurston from Album 88, and today I am joined by the wonderful Lowertown. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know y'all are slightly familiar with RAS, at least from a long time ago when y'all played at RAS Fest. And it's happy to see you in the station.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. We definitely,
Definitely our favorite like one of our favorite radio stations overall.
yeah,
Nice.
growing up together, we listened to it a bunch.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. So I think since y'all are kind of very Atlanta centric, a lot of people are probably already familiar with you, but I guess just for anybody who may not, do y'all want to just give a quick introduction to yourself and maybe your sound?
Yeah, we're Lowertown. We're a two-piece when we write, but when we play, we're a four-piece. When we play live, we're a four-piece. We kind of, I guess we make like generally like indie music, a little bit of like elements of electronic and punk and
Like more soft and
yeah,
folky and
yeah,
singer-songwriter at times.
Yeah, we wrote our first record together 5 years ago, and since then have released two EPs and another album, and have done like 3 or 4 tours and a bunch of kind of like one-off shows.
Maybe 5 or 6 times at this point.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did, I guess like 5 or 6 tours. And yeah, that's us. And I'm Avsha,
And I'm Olive.
and yeah, we're like the main band.
Nice to formally meet you.
Nice to finally meet you too.
And speaking of your tours, you're nearing the end of this little mini tour that y'all have been on. So how has tour been so far for y'all?
It's been awesome. I mean, we've played a few shows in places we've never played before, like Pittsburgh and Cleveland. The turnouts have been really good. Like, it's felt really rewarding. Definitely very tiring because we're doing everything ourselves and we're in a very small car. But yeah, it's been insane. We're very tired right now, but I definitely think Atlanta and Boston were two of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I think we're like fresh off the Atlanta show from last night, and yeah, it's been cool. Like headlining places, just kind of some like markets we haven't played before.
Meeting new bands and stuff.
Yeah, like a bunch of new bands we've never played with before, and like people whose music we admire and stuff like that. So it's been really cool, fun experience.
You were talking about how you've gotten to headline a lot of these shows. Well, I guess y'all headlined this entire tour, right?
Yeah.
We had
Except
one
for Brooklyn Steel
Yeah.
and
With
New York.
Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Nice. And you mentioned last night during y'all's set that like y'all grew up going to Terminal West and getting to headline it was like a really cool experience. So I guess just how different did it feel from playing like maybe more DIY shows in Atlanta when y'all were coming up?
I mean, it felt awesome. It really was like a very formative venue, one that we like had always talked about wanting to headline. And we did one support show when we were on tour with supporting Porches. We played at Terminal West, so we had like a lay of the land already, kind of in the support slot. But it's pretty crazy. It's like
It's very high production. They really respect you at that venue. Like I feel like all the bands felt very respected and taken care of. The sound people really care. The lighting people really care. It just feels like an actual concert, not just a show, which I feel like we usually play shows, not concerts, but that was like a full-on concert yesterday.
It was also really cool to be able to see like a lot of these bands who like we would play with in sort of more DIY context and on a bigger scale. Like we've been playing with Pincus forever, and seeing their set like in Terminal West was awesome and super cool, and Vice too. And Monsoon we hadn't seen before, but it was just like it was so cool to see all these bands playing on such a huge stage. But yeah, I mean it's just completely different.
Yeah, it felt unreal. We were talking in the green room like before we played about how one of the best shows we ever saw was Alex G before COVID. I think it was for House of Sugar tour.
2019.
And and that was like genuinely one of the best shows I've ever seen. It was so insane. And it just felt like rock star shit. Like seeing, sorry, felt like rock star stuff.
Rockstar stuff.
Seeing someone play that stage, and we'd seen a lot of shows up there, and I was like, dang, like, I don't know. It just felt sort of impossible to be at that level where we could be on that stage, especially like headlining. But it felt really good. I was really nervous, but I ended up feeling okay halfway through. Like I was like, oh, people are chill, it's okay. But yeah, that was a really good show. I feel very happy that it happened.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And then I guess furthermore on that show, the tour wasn't as much about this, but the Atlanta show specifically was special in that it was marking the 5th year anniversary of y'all's first album, Friends. And so, I mean, this is slightly similar to the last question, but I guess just as a whole, how would y'all say things have changed in the past 5 years?
Everything's changed.
Our whole lives have completely changed. I mean, like we put out the record when we were juniors in high school when we were 17, and so I mean, just about as much as could change in one's life, I think, kind of did. Where we not only graduated high school, we graduated like 2020 during COVID, so it was already kind of a very unconventional transition into the next part of our lives. And then
signed to a label.
Yeah, and then signing to a label during COVID, right after high school.
We moved to London, moved to New York.
Yeah, we had stints in London and stints in New York, which now is like permanent and where I kind of reside now. And kind of the touring for the first time ever really during that period. We had a tour originally scheduled before or during COVID, which didn't end up happening.
Or before COVID happened.
Yeah, before COVID happened. And so we kind of we transitioned into a whole different style of life where we became working people. Working in a very loose sense of the word, and as musicians and fending for ourselves and kind of starting our lives and finding places finding out how to live, how to be an adult. Kind of all that happened within the last 5 years.
Yeah, I feel like I've aged 20 years in the past 5 years, without how much stuff has happened.
It's been a really long 5 years.
It's been a really long 5 years, but yeah, I feel like we were, I don't know, there was just this rawness and excitement and naiveness, I don't know what word that would be, but to writing that record, that I think is what makes it so special and pure. And I think every record since has had a different context and a different backdrop and different experiences. And yeah, I just think we're also just a lot better at our instruments. We're a lot more confident in ourselves, and Avsha feels a lot more confident singing and writing lyrics, and I feel a lot more confident writing instrumental parts. And I think just a lot of the songwriting and our relationship with music has changed.
Yeah, I think I've just been able to realize ourselves and who we want to be and who we are and what our strong suits are and what we want to kind of focus on as adults and forever in our life. I think just realizing that.
Yeah, and I guess y'all. I know you just mentioned that y'all have moved around a lot from the UK and New York. And I know that you recorded a lot of The Gaping Mouth, or all of it, in the UK, right?
Yeah, all of it, yeah.
So would you say that being in those different environments at different times affected how the record sounded?
Definitely. I think we're super impacted by our environment. I don't take most of our inspiration from what's around us and how we're feeling. And I Love to Lie and The Gaping Mouth were both recorded in London, and so much of that feeling and a lot of the material came from how we felt. I don't know, I felt sort of like I didn't fit in and understand living in the city yet at that age, and especially somewhere so different than Atlanta. I felt like I really didn't belong. I found it hard to socialize and understand how, I don't know, it's different socializing in the UK than it is in America. People just are different, and that definitely impacted a lot. The weather is super. The past 2 times we were there, it was winter time, and it would get dark at 4 p.m. It was just always rainy and cloudy, and that definitely really impacted how we were feeling.
Yeah, Gaping Mouth definitely was impacted by being in London. I think I Love to Lie was more impacted after our move from New York, or to New York.
Yeah.
I think that kind of like the energy in the streets and like this was also like right after things sort of let up in COVID. It was kind of 2021. Like everybody was really excited to start living again. It was like summer 2021. So that kind of energy and anger and frustration and like being able to finally let it out, I think that definitely really inspired I Love to Lie. Yeah.
Nice. And then moving on to y'all's most recent release, Skin of My Teeth. I'm not sure where y'all recorded that one, but what was the recording process for that one like?
That was kind of put together like kind of piecemeal a little bit. It was the first two songs, Blind and Root Canal, were both kind of like written during other like studio sessions. They were written like during I Love to Lie and kind of other points in Gaping Mouth, like those studio sessions, but we didn't really like feel comfortable with them being in those records and those projects.
Yeah, they didn't feel like they fit in those projects to us.
And then so those are both parts of it were recorded. Actually, I think all of them were recorded in the studio in London, and then the last two songs, Obscurity and Marionette, were recorded kind of bits and pieces. Some of Obscurity was recorded in the house that we were staying in London after we got COVID and we were kind of housebound, and we wrote kind of bits and pieces of the song there, and then finished it at home in Atlanta at the time. And then Marionette as well I think that was written.
It's really old.
Yeah, that was really old and written, I think, entirely in Atlanta.
Your basement.
Yeah, in my basement in Atlanta, which is where Friends was recorded. But yeah, it's all over the place. But we were able to kind of figure out how to make it feel cohesive and flow well.
Nice. Yeah, it is a very solid EP. We are spinning it at the station. Yes. So any Album 88 heads may have heard this EP recently. But it is always cool to hear about how stuff comes together, even when it seems like it's not going to at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this next question is slightly self-indulgent because I run the like experimental hip hop and hyperpop show at the station.
Mm-hmm.
But in my digging through y'all's YouTube channel in preparation for this, in one of the Gaping Mouth videos, Olivia, you were wearing a Death Grips hoodie, I believe.
Yeah.
And then in the cooking video, Avsha, you made a Blade reference.
Yes. Right now I'm draining.
Yeah.
And so I was just curious if y'all have any kind of, not necessarily influences, but just musical interests that may not be entirely obvious based on the music y'all make.
I think a lot of the music we listen to, we listen to a lot of different kinds of music, but honestly, I think we both find relief in listening to music that sounds nothing like our own, because there's no comparison. It also just it helps with ear fatigue. I feel like it's just like you're so in it all the time listening to like indie like music, you
like
know,
your friends' music,
and it's awesome, but it makes me feel like, I don't know, it's just, you need something really outside of yourself to feel inspired a lot of the time, and it's really refreshing as well.
We first got connected to music because of its kind of like relaxing and exciting quality, and then like it's nice to also listen to it as like, oh, this is my friend's music, like they want me to, like they want to hear your opinions or something. It's nice to do that, but it's like it doesn't have the same relaxing or like exciting feeling that got us into music to begin with. So yeah, okay. Like what?
We're both really into jazz.
Yeah, jazz, classical. I'm really into classical.
Really into like Brazilian music. Like,
yeah.
We both. We do really like Death Grips and stuff like that.
Yeah, Death Grips was a big one when we were like in high school.
Yeah, that was a big one for us.
Yeah, we were never able to see them live, but they came to Atlanta a couple times. We missed them, but yeah, that was like very formative, I think, in like when we were in high school and first starting the band. I can't claim to know as much about like Blade and Drain as I claim to, or maybe misrepresented myself as in that video. But I definitely I was a really big Young Lean fan. So Unknown Death was like a really
he loves Young
big
Lean.
album for me. I like loved that album so much. Yeah, so those ones were pretty big.
You've also been listening to like a lot of like tabla music and stuff.
Yeah, true. I definitely, when I get sick of, I very quickly get sick of like vocalist singing.
Me too.
And like or vocalist music. So definitely like Hindustani classical music, which is like
It's
Hindu and
awesome.
Pakistani classical music, which is kind of like one note basically, and a very, very long, like 20-30 minute song with with like tabla and sitar playing and stuff like that. And that like helps me, especially when I'm driving, because I like to kind of get into a zone when I'm
Trance
driving.
mode.
Yeah, like a bit of a trance, and that really helps me because it's just like I can turn my brain off and I get that kind of relaxing feeling that I really love about music. And
It's cool too because it's in like a different scale.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like our Western music.
Yeah, I also grew up listening to a lot of like Middle Eastern music because my parents are Middle Eastern. So yeah, that was definitely like hugely influential, and I'll also play it in the car a lot. And like my namesake is also from a song by an artist named Arik Einstein is how you say it, called Avshalom, which is my name.
Nice. It's nice to get a little peer into what y'all are listening to. I know you said you were listening to ska on the way from New York.
Actually, we were listening to ska.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like on
Specials
the
of Madness.
yeah, so much. Like on the way down from New York, it was at least a 16-hour drive.
Damn.
And we just were so burnt out of listening to music that sounded anything like what we make or anything we've been like performing with, and we were just playing anything but like indie or alternative music. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
We were playing musicals in the car and shit.
We were playing musicals. I was playing a lot of of Hindustani music. I was playing
A lot of John Prine, like old
Yes.
country.
Yeah, that has been awesome for me on the tour. Is like John Prine, Blaze Foley, like kind of folk, old Americana folk music, and then some classical too, which divides the car a little bit more, I think, because I don't like operas because I don't really resonate with the singing part of it, but I'll definitely play
I like classical.
like concertos and stuff, and then it's just it divides the car sometimes. Sometimes people don't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
It can be dramatic.
It can be dramatic.
Yeah, Emmett right there runs the classical show at the
Yay.
station.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm sure y'all could have a conversation if we had the time for it.
Yeah, I grew up playing classical piano. That was like my main instrument. So, yeah, I love to listen to it just as like a nostalgia thing, but also as I get older, I'm like rediscovering it again in a new kind of way.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all released Skin on My Teeth back in October, and y'all are finishing up this tour. But I know you've said that there may be another full project coming sometime soon. So have y'all started work on that or work on?
Oh yeah.
We've been working on it for a while now. We have a lot of songs that are in a pretty good shape. Yeah, we're actually a week after this tour ends, we're going to take a break for a week, and then I'm going to go back to New York, and we're going to work on writing. But we have, I don't know, a good amount of songs written, and we're just going to, probably in the fall, record with a producer, and hopefully get that wrapped up. And hopefully early next year, it'll come out. I'm really, really excited, and I want to play them live. Like, we were talking today about how maybe we'll just start teasing some of the songs in concert, just because it'll be really fun and refreshing, and I think it'll get people excited for the album. But yeah.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully seeing y'all again. I mean, I'm sure y'all will play in Atlanta again.
Oh yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just about it. But one last question in terms of future endeavors. Will we ever see another episode of the Lowertown Cooking Show?
We get asked that a lot.
Yeah,
And I
we do get
feel
asked that a
like
lot.
we have to do at least one of those and another guitar tutorial.
Guitar tutorial definitely. Like
I really
I have
think-
some guitar
yeah.
tutorials in the books, but yeah, I guess the cooking we gotta sit
People
down.
really
and-
want one,
I
and
know.
I feel like we
Maybe we
should
could do like a baking one
deliver.
because I feel like
Baking would be lit.
yeah, I think the baking I like really enjoy baking, or at least like helping bake, like sous chefing, you know.
I'm good at baking. And
Yeah,
you're good
yeah.
At, yeah. You're
And I'm good at
baking,
eating the
nice.
pastries. I'm a fantastic pastry eater. It's basically all I really like to do. So maybe a baking one.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all, Lowertown,
Thank
for
you.
coming
Thank
into
you.
the station again. Be sure to listen to Skin of My Teeth and anything else that may come in the future.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.